Hey guys, welcome on to Fine for People. My name's Grant Goes, and this is a platform that helps you find the best in health, sports, and fitness. We're going to start a series today. So we're going to do a personal training 101 kind of series. Yeah, we're trying to do like TV because we're the flash like that. And what we're going to do is do it in different parts. So we're going to start today with getting into training and why you get into training, how to get into training. Then next time we're going to break it down again and about whether it be marketing, sales, assessments. Then we're going to go into just client acquisition this part of acquisition as well, but retention as well. And services you do with your clients, or training methods you can use during delivery, and it's all part of the series. So we're going to start it off with getting into personal training, and we're going to talk with that straight after this. Hey guys, cool. So we're getting into personal training, and to help me out, bro, I've actually just thought that your name sounds like a Space Invader. It's like Sol Rogers. It's
Better Call Saul, man.
Huh?
Better Call Saul.
Oh, who's that one? Isn't there's a Spaces game? I'm pretty sure. Buck Rogers, that was it.
Buck Rogers, yeah, just like Space Invaders.
Yeah, that's what got me going into it. Everybody, this is Sol, and he's going to help take us through part one, at least, probably part 2, 3, and often as you can. Lots of wisdom. Bro, let's just start off quickly. 60 seconds of background about yourself so people actually know what you're talking about.
Cool. So essentially I've been in the industry since like 2002, 2003.
We're working on this.
We're working on it. So been in the industry since 2002, 2003.
Geez, that's nearly 20 years.
Yeah, I know. No, not quite. It's like, what, 14
First 2 years off.
Yeah. What are you trying to say?
No,
so I basically took my first job as like a gym instructor when I was away on a basketball academy. So it's just a way of basically earning some beer money when I was younger. So
totally.
I quite enjoyed, obviously, the fitness industry. I'd always played a lot of sports previous to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, essentially I've just stayed in it since then in one way, shape or form. Since I was, 17 when I started.
Jeez, man. Well,
44, like I'm trying to make out. Cheers, bro.
I'm close to 40, so...
I just look a lot older.
You look younger, bro. It's
the good sun. It's the sun out here.
The wisdom, isn't it?
Exactly. So since then, did like probably quite a normal route for someone of my age back then.
Mm-hmm.
Was always going into like the commercial space initially. So I worked for a hotel gym initially, and then it was classic, good. And then went into like a big commercial gym called Nuffield Health.
UK,
back in the UK, off the back of their private hospital.
Yeah, sweet.
From there, sort of started going up and setting up my own thing. So I'd worked for them for maybe 3-4 years. Obviously, built up a bit of a client base, got a bit of a name for myself.
Yeah, perfect.
Then was sort of working a bit with them still, but then had gone more into my own space, which was more like personal training, strength and conditioning. I was doing some back to work organisation stuff, like a bit of lifestyle coaching and stuff like that.
For you guys that don't realise, this is exactly the pathway a lot of people take along.
Yeah, the old school pathway. Anyway,
old school pathway, sorry, which shows that the experience and it does work. So there you go, awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. And then so when was it? So early 2013, I came out here.
Fast forward 10 years.
Real fast. Basically started working for a gym in DIFC called U Energy. Most people have probably heard of it because it was relatively well established. That was cool. So worked there for a couple of years and then ended up going into the management side of things as well, which I'd had a bit of experience doing like duty management stuff through like Nuffield back in the UK. But that was quite a nice step up for me to go alongside obviously doing the training. So it was like a bit of a break from doing that, and opened up sort of a different area for me to learn, sort of progress into. And then from the back of there, I went on to, so I've just finished now working for Embody, which is like a transformation esque gym. So where I basically transferred over there, was working alongside Rob, who was on here, Rob Richards. Me and him were like managing that space as well, which was really cool. Now sort of decided my wife's got a little one on the way, so due in May. So it was a good time for me to sort of exit there, try and get a bit of a better work-life balance. So I'm basically setting up my own thing now. So doing a handful of different clients, mainly similar type of clientele that I've been working with from DFC and in body
cool
days as well. And that's sort of, that's taken me in really, really quickly, 14, 15 years of what I've been
direction.
doing.
It's a really good way to start, because this is what this whole series, guys, is about. That is development and where you go forward. And I'm going to take it all the way back to the beginning, because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't have the whole I want to do this, I want to do that, or where am I going to go? And people usually just take a bit of a, okay, this comes up, let's try this now, okay, let's try that now, let's try that now, right? And so the first thing was, like, when you're getting started with training is, why would I get into it? Then how could I get into it? What options do I have when I'm getting into it? You don't necessarily, in my opinion anyway, you don't have to know exactly, I'm going to be the best personal trainer in the world or anything like that.
And what is the best personal trainer?
Well, that's the question as well, right? And so today we're going to talk about getting into personal training. And I suppose we're going to start with that. When you think about it, when people do it, because it is, again, it's like he said, old school, and there's kind of this new school mentality as well behind getting into personal training. Yep. Let's start with that. Why get into personal training? And from your perspective, why, or maybe who? Yeah. Let's start with that one there.
Yeah, cool. I think why is always the biggest one, isn't it? Because I think loads of people have completely different angles of coming into it. Like, for me, I was always a sportsman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know, similar to you, we've chatted about this before. Always played sport, always done some form of physical activity. So it sort of made sense, and I was drawn pretty much to that gym environment. So it's something, from quite a young age, I was chucked into the gym in regards to a sport performance type thing for, like,
the
basketball, volleyball, did a lot of running as well. And so, it felt quite a natural environment for me to be in. And then, of course, when I was away on basketball academy, I was away from home, quite young. I was like, what feels relatively comfortable? What feels relatively normal? Yeah. Gym space, right? Being around that. So making some money doing something I enjoyed is always pretty straightforward.
Totally.
Right? So I think a lot of people got similar things, whether they've come from a sporting background like ourselves, whether they've just really enjoyed doing a lot of training, or had a trainer that was really good and has sort of educated them, and they think, actually, I like this lifestyle, I like where it's going to lead. Yeah. Especially once you get a little bit further down the line, you're outside of doing commercial type space. Yeah. It can be brilliant from a time perspective as well, can't it? You can have a few hours a day, earn some good money. Totally. Allows you to do some other things, your own training, get out and about and do whatever it is you wish to be doing. So
I think you've really touched on the identities of people that do get into personal training, the common ones. Like, so if we broke those down, like, there's definitely obviously the sports person that goes after, maybe has their career in sports, and then they go into training because it's something they've been involved in for a while. They've learned a lot of knowledge. You've got the person that goes and gets a trainer, or they want to get fit. They get a trainer. They get well educated in what they're doing. They like that thought, and they thought, actually, I want to impart that knowledge onto someone else. And then there's the other side, or kind of in that same group, that the person that has a trainer, gets educated, and then looks at it as an option. Maybe if they're an accountant, lawyer, office worker, 9 to 5 kind of thing, and they're kind of, actually, I want that work balance or flexibility in life to be able to do certain things. And
I think you see it in the fitness space a lot, don't you? I mean, not just personal training, going mildly off track here, but look at yoga teachers or Pilates instructors. You look at even like meditation's like another big one now, isn't it? People going into that space, and you get a lot of there might have been a bit more business-minded careers at the beginning, then going down that route in a little bit later life, which is also cool, because if you've got like a 40, 50-year-old banker who's working with an ex-40 or 50-year-old banker in a certain they've got much better understanding than maybe you would. So it works quite nicely, doesn't it? I think as well, a lot of people go into gyms with some form of body composition issue, or they wanting to go in there, they want to better themselves, how they look, how they feel, all of that. Totally. If they've got a good instructor or got a good trainer, someone that's led them through that, then of course they want to hand that on. That's hard. It's the service industry, isn't it? That's exactly what it is. Right? It's interesting.
What else? So. Understand, like, the thing that's really important before people get into training, that they understand completely. What would be like? Is there any advice from you that's like, I wish I knew this back then before I got into it? Or
I think it's like the hardest thing, isn't it, with education? As a whole, is trying to decide when you're 15, 16, 17 years old what you want to do when you're 30, 40, 50 onwards. It's always really, really
too young to think about that. Yeah,
exactly. No,
I was like that for sure.
It's true. Like, cool. All I wanted to do was play basketball. That's it. Like, literally, I think I still do now. That's all I want to do. No,
it's not a play. I don't work.
Yeah. No, but yeah. On a serious note, I think that's the big thing. So, like, deciding the type of trainer you want to be is like a huge thing, isn't it? Like, you know, whether do you want to do group X? Do you want to be doing semi-private, private? Do you want to be doing strength and conditioning working with sports teams? Do you want to go down more like, you know, now you're seeing a lot more the analytics of it, or the science of it, like, you know,
massively come about.
Like, it's become huge, and so all of those serve a good place, and you can go and be part of Man United or whoever, one of your big football teams,
totally.
Working in all different categories, because they've got huge teams now of these people.
Oh, massively! It's
almost as big as the actual players. Right?
Yeah, totally. The support team,
and it's huge money. So there's so many realms you can go as a trainer or a coach, isn't it?
Totally,
these days. So again, trying to decide that at 15, 16, 20 years old or whatever,
good luck.
It's pretty tough. So, I think big thing is, the type of people you might want to be working with, even within the next 5-10 years, because you can obviously develop. If you're young enough to be thinking college, degrees, going to uni and that type of stuff, then you've probably got a little bit more of an option to leave yourself maybe a bit more of a broader path. If you're a little bit older, it's a little bit tougher potentially to go, to pick up a degree whilst earning, whilst having your wife, your family, and juggling all that different stuff. But I think to go back to your point is like defining who you want to be is like the number
one. There's there's ways we can do this, and I think there's also to understand that, like, you come back, I'd sum this one up as passion, like understand what you enjoy doing. And I think you can look at it, go 2 years down, 1 to 2 years, you can look at it and go like, this is what I enjoy doing it. Like, there's one misconception about personal trainers. A lot of people go like, it's really easy, fuck, I can do it, and I'll just go and just train people and no worries, I'll make money, Although people talk about, I know Dubai in particular, around the world, people have this stigma or this stereotype of, go to Dubai, you'll make heaps of money. It's easy. Just go up shop and you'll be you make raking in the coin, which is straight to the point. It's wrong. It's not like that at all. There's things you need to understand. It there is, like anything, a graft, a grind, a work that you have to put in to start before you get to that kind of point. And I think the other side of it too is that when you look at any industry, especially now we're going to keep it to fitness, but that everything's becoming more specific. So it used to be like 5-10 years ago, personal trainer, great, and you were a jack of all trades, that's all known. But because there is so many more qualifications out there, because there's so many more professionals out there, that things are becoming very much more niche. And if and clients are seeking more of a niche, skilled individual professional in the market. So definitely going back to what we were just talking about is if you have clarity early about what you want to do or how you want to do it, you have a better direction.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting one, isn't it? Because I think, going back, I was going to say, like for me, I was a country boy, right? So I was like born out in the sticks, always either been near a beach or been out, very rural areas, right? So then there's a big difference from where, like, I was working originally for Nuffield when I first started off. It's in Plymouth. It's a small town essentially, right?
Yeah.
It's not a huge amount going on there. There's not a huge amount of wealth. So doing doing all the one-to-one type training and stuff was definitely a privilege for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more. I started off, even going back to like the hours you're saying about the graft, if you want to call it. I remember like to fit in my basketball, I basically worked late early, 6 days a week for the Nuffield, doing my shifts. Wasn't allowed to personal train, but I was allowed to do group classes. So the group classes was where I made my money. Because that was like my extra. And then I fitted that around. So then the days I was working early, I had basketball in the afternoon. Days I was working late, I had basketball in the morning. And that was basically my setup for about the first 3 years. Right? And then, of course, you're trying to start to fit in a little bit of personal training here and there outside of your shift. So that's
totally.
So again, like the bit more of the old school was always like there was no way like the new kid on the block who's just passed his course was going to come in and be like,
done it.
Hundreds and hundreds of sessions a month or whatever. It's just no way it's going to happen. Right? So, which was for me personally, called me old school, but I actually quite like that because then it puts a few hairs in your chest, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So and it's good, and you learn, but also like the experience of putting your education into practice
Oh, totally.
is the most important part. 'Cause
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you know if you can't apply it.
It's one of the biggest things. I hope you guys are realizing there's a lot of little nuggets here that, it's not just, yes, I'm going to train, because, you said, like, applying yourself, being able to take experience, and that's one I always go back to, is you might be the most incredibly intelligent person in the world, but if you can't explain in layman terms to someone how to do something, then you are fucked, you're out, you're gone, sorry. And you need to understand that it's not just about the knowledge, it's about the communication side of it as well. And
I mean, we've seen it a million times, right? I mean, if you've worked in the industry for a while, some of the smartest blokes I know, book smart guys, literally some of the worst coaches.
Yeah.
Some of the best coaches I've ever met.
Yeah.
No qualifications barely at all.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? And then that's it, and it just literally blows your mind. I mean, even go back, I'm going to keep name dropping him, but I love the boy who's working out here, Rob.
Yeah.
Rob's brilliant, but his formal education, in comparison to a lot of people that are as smart as him, you would never ever guess.
Yeah.
You would never guess what he's done. You know what I mean? So it shows there's obviously always different routes, going back to what we were chatting about before. And I think if you stay in the industry long enough, because I think the average personal trainer actually only lasts a year and a half. I think that's the stat worldwide.
That is a big stat. There's less than 5% people actually continue as a career. Like, under the education, less than 5% actually have a career in fitness.
And you think, like, just in Dubai, say, for instance, how many trainers there are? So that's pretty scary, really, to think.
That's your competition. You're one of 5,000, 5,000 plus, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then going back to what I was saying, so you think, coming from like a small town, small city, where there's pros and cons, it's probably only commercial type gyms, but then there isn't probably a huge amount of competition, because there's not a lot of people doing it.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it's definitely starting to grow now. You're sort of seeing that middle market or the high-end market popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, then when you come and like transfer over and you come to the big city, like you said, everyone goes, "Oh yeah, it's brilliant. You can earn all this money and all this." Don't get me wrong, that's true. I mean, it's tax free here, right? So you are going to wherever you're coming from, you will earn more because you're not getting taxed as much as you're going to.
Totally.
That's it. Plain and simple. But bar that, you work seriously hard in the big cities.
Totally.
They're expecting you to do the hours.
Yeah.
It's not if you want to or whatever. You're expected to do it. Plus, people working longer hours here, so it's not 9-to-5 jobs like I was used to back home. Yeah. So you can actually fit more people in the morning and more people in the evening because they've got more time. Like here, people are working at 7, 8 in the morning and finishing at 8, 9, 10.
11.
And a client just the other morning, what time did he finish? 2 in the morning. And I was training with him at 6:30, so of course it wasn't a big session. But like that's the nature of it.
Yeah,
so,
hard.
It's definitely a tough market to get into if you want to do it long term, and you need to sort of be doing it long term to get a decent career, right?
Massively. There's a thing, guys, and you kind of touch on it all the time. Is like there is a difference between playing your sport and coaching your sport, and you might love playing your sport. But do you love coaching it as a completely different thing, right? And people's like, I want to do fitness. I could do fitness all day long. Well, there's a thing you're going to understand that you've now sacrificed your regular monthly income to have training as your income. And like so you were saying before, bro, is you're talking about that you want to play basketball, but then you sort of put bread on. Well, you're younger at that time, but I mean, let's say you're 22, you're living out of home.
I needed my beer money, man.
Bro, you need your money. Exactly. So you got to put in the hours. You got to have your drink. It means there's got to be sacrifices in here and there. And I think a lot of people go and try to become personal trainers, thinking, I can train all day, but you become your own business owner at the end of the day, and there's stresses that come with this. So there's things you've got to do, requirements. Okay, Dubai's a little bit different, but not too much. That you should be running a business essentially. You've got to market yourself. You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to network. You've got to keep your books. You've got to see what you're doing, because if you're going to run a successful business, you've got to know what your targets are. You've got to know what you need to be doing on a regular basis, and you're going to know how you're going to pull in clients as well. So don't just think rock up, do a 1 hour session and that's it, because there's also the other side of it is if you're a quality trainer, if you're doing your things right, that you're tracking, you're doing things outside of that 1 hour as well, there's time you put into it.
I think that's the other big classic, and I mean, you can always, the easiest to compare back is always like university, right? Oh, I've just finished my X degree, whatever it could be, fill that space. But then it's like, oh, boom, that's it. I'm ready to take over the world. And it's like everybody's done it. Like, our industry is everyone's gone and done a sports science degree, right? I've done sports science. And then you're like, right, that's it. Boom, I can take over. I've done my strength and conditioning.
I'm ready.
That's it. USA basketball, here I come. And it's like, it just doesn't work like that.
No.
And some of the, again, why do you never hear of some of the best coaches in the world and best trainers in the world and whatever? Is because they're in the trenches, they're working, they're grafting. Some of the people doing the longest hours in our profession are some of the best coaches.
Totally, 100%.
And so, once you get that realization and understand that you've actually got to spend some time in it and almost embrace it, right? You want to embrace the fact, it's like, oh, I've got to spend some time. I'm going to spend like 2, 3, 4, however many years doing it to actually be around the right people, get the experience to put alongside my education to become a good trainer, because you're not going to be one overnight.
That's really good, because how in your opinion, how was it? People get an education, they go get qualified, but how important is it for people to be experiencing not just, okay, let's say I'm a client and I enjoy my personal trainer, being educated from my personal trainer, and I'm thinking I want to get into it. For me, there's a difference between receiving education and giving education or giving knowledge, right? So how important is it to get the experience of giving the education?
It's literally, that is personal training, isn't it?
Totally.
That's it. That's it. I mean, plain and simple, there's no adding on to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like go back to what we said. You can have all the information in the world, but if you can't relay that and give it to someone, then you bug it. That's it. It's game over. So, I think like the big thing is also knowing who you're relaying it to. So me and you can chat, we can get a bit more in depth into it. You know what I mean? If I'm speaking to, whatever, average Joe Bloggs walked in off the street, general pop client, that person hasn't got a clue about any of the things that I'm going to go in that I've read out of my latest book or the latest research in the science. So you want to put it in layman's terms, let them understand it in the most basic way. Basics is everything, right? So if you teach those basics, you can teach those foundations well, then you're all good at it.
And this is like teaching, everyone's different as well. Everyone takes things both visually, kinesthetically, audibly, and you've got to be able to translate for them. It's not like, the experience side of things. What about these experience side of things where you're going, because a lot of people are like, oh, I want to charge off the bat, kind of thing, before they go into personal training. Like for me, if you want to understand how personal training is, then, potentially do a training session with a friend or family member, and that's someone that's a friend of a friend, so that you get put in an environment of, there's someone I maybe I'm not used to. I've got to learn to communicate with them in the way that they're going to understand it before they get into or during their certification process or during their time.
Well, I think that's the really interesting way the industry's gone now is that, so when I did my course, it was sort of thing like off the back of college, you could choose to do it or whatever. But there was only a couple of big branded PT courses going. There was Premier, which I think are pretty worldwide these days, and then I went through one called Lifetime. But it was a year-long course, and if you had a bit of a background in education of PE, strength and conditioning, sports science, any of that, of course you could accelerate that slightly because the anatomy and physiology side of it you could smash through, right? But if you didn't have that, then it was impossible for you to do it, and plus you always had to travel to like either London or Bristol or like some of the bigger cities to go and do them because they weren't everywhere at the time. But then just in that, they'd give you a lot of like, right, you've learned this, you've got to go away and prove that you actually know how to, again, give that information, apply that information, and then you're sort of aligning everything all the way up.
Yeah, totally.
So I think then that's the big problem these days, and not to get into bashing people, but the problem is you can go and do, I was going to say, you can become a trainer in a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so imagine, here we go, CrossFit, right? No, but it's the same thing with that. How can you go and do a weekend certification and then start training hundreds, thousands, whatever potential people out of their box?
Totally.
And as we all know, like actually teaching, if you can't teach to one person, how are you going to teach to 20 or 30 or 50?
Totally. Yeah.
You know, and people always...
We're not going to go down that road today, but we will.
But yeah, I mean, and so I think that's the big thing to really think about then, isn't it? Is again, it's time served.
Yeah. Oh, massive.
You know, like you've got to
hands-on experience is
you've got to be able to put that into.
Do it. Guys, we're going to come back after this break and just... You know, we're also launching the Find for People app. It's happening in a week or so. So we'll come back after a short break about that.
Yeah, she's just not really good. That's it.
Hey guys, welcome back to Find for People. We're talking about getting into personal training. This is part of the series, Personal Training 101. Good information before, so go back and have a listen to that stuff. If you have comments, questions, your thoughts, share them, chuck them in the comment section down below. The next kind of step for me for this part is hopefully you guys have got a lot better understanding about if you should get into it, why you should get into it, the things you should do before getting into personal training. The next kind of step, I suppose, or the question that's going to come up from many people is when they look at it, in this day and age, where do I get my education from? Because we just talked about kind of, it was a year-long course beforehand. Now there's short weekend courses that are available. So in the age of 2020, not back in 2003 or 1999 is when I did my personal training education. Yeah. I am nearly 40, so it's fine. But yeah,
I look older than you, so you're right.
So yes. Where do people go today to be educated?
Again, with this, I mean, you know, one click of a button, you're going to get 100 different ones.
Yeah.
You can do in person, you can do remote, so there's a bit of in person, a bit of online, you can do online, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many out there now.
Yeah.
You know, for me to say like, this is the go-to one or that's the go-to one, it's impossible.
What about points within like what you learned, what you would have liked to know earlier in your career?
I think big things really to look at if you're looking to find a good course is, one, are some of the people teaching them in your local area already trainers, right?
Yeah.
Because again, going back to our normal thing, it's all well and good, you might have all the education, but are they going to be able to teach you to be a good trainer or coach?
Yeah.
So that's it. I know over here, I'm sure you don't mind me dropping a few names, but you know,
drop away.
Like the Body Hack guys? You know, like for me, I've always heard lots of good stuff about them. A lot of the courses and stuff that they're putting out there is really good. You've got like MeFit Pro as well. They've got PTA Global.
Yep.
All of which, you know, relatively well known. You've got a couple of other English companies coming over and doing odds and sods, right?
Totally, yeah.
So for me, like those are the big ones to do out here if you were based
locally
out of Dubai and you wanted to
do you know there's 26 educators out here?
There we go. There you go.
It's 26.
There you go. And you know, bar those two, I don't hear a lot about anybody else.
Totally.
Especially with the Body Hack guys. I've heard a lot of good stuff and I know they're very good. They're well educated, but they're putting that into practice on a day-to-day basis. So if it were me and I was going to put my money in somewhere right now and I was in Dubai, that's what I'd be looking at.
Cool.
But then similar sort of thing wherever you may be living, right? So you're going to look around, try and assess the market.
What would you want out of a course specifically? Practical, theory? What information would you want out of the course that you know?
Well, you
business.
Need all, right? If like again, considering that it's like a large part of it is demonstration of particular exercises, mobility, whatever it might be. Right? You need that hands-on. So I mean, just doing online to me is absolutely insane, right? In LACE,
is it 3D or some shit like that? I mean.
Exactly.
Virtual reality type of thing going on.
But I mean, I suppose the only other way potentially that might work is if you were given a job a receptionist at a gym or something like that, and you actually had someone that was showing you a lot of that stuff and you were doing online
support,
like
mentor system,
But let's be honest, that's very few and far between.
That's why only even 5% make it.
Super fortunate, right?
Yeah.
Again, a bit like these guys we're chatting about over here. I know, like say in London, you've got a lot of guys that are like the sort of the better trainers that have got they've got their education arm to their business, and a lot of those will go into either running full personal training courses or giving you little offcuts. So going in and seeing some of those guys as well. I think, again, depending on the angle you want to go down,
Yeah.
right? You know, you don't want to go and do something with Mike Boyle strength and conditioning if you want to be a body composition
Yeah,
trainer.
100%.
Two opposites, right? Where you might want to go in with, I don't know, again, depending on where you are, the name's gone out of my head now. You got Muscle Nerds, haven't you, like the Aussie
Okay, yeah, so yeah.
and all of those, sort of doing it there a lot more like General Pop, where you've got like the